Hi, I'm James with British Customs, and today we're going to walk around with this Speed Twin 900, which was the bike that replaced the Street Twin 900. Somewhere in 2023, they changed it over to the Speed Twin 900, essentially the same bike, but a few minor changes that we'll point out today and show you the things that we were able to cross over from the other bike onto this bike. So let's start off with the exhaust. They made some changes on the header pipe here, so some of the catback stuff is not going to fit from the older styles, so we have to develop some new ones. But we did come up with these slash cut tips that will bolt on. They're handmade in the USA, right here in Gardena, California. 304 stainless steel. They come in a brushed finish, which is to match the header. We don't offer them in polished or black because it just doesn't match, but if you wanted to do that yourself, you can easily get that done. If you want to get a full system, then that'll be replacing everything that would fit. But for now, they changed this. You can see we have an upswept instead of the straight back anymore because the factory sweeps it up a little bit. So it looks a little different than the older style, but it still works. So this slash cut tip is a super easy way to clean up the bike, and it's super easy to install, won't break the bank, and if it's performance you're looking for, offers a great weight savings over the stock muffler. So this is our tried and true pan taillight kit. It still fits onto this model. The other thing that we put on this bike here is these are three-way turn signals, so they run as running lights, brake lights, and turn signals, which offers more visibility, especially if you're riding in the city like LA. It's really hard to see sometimes. This will get people's attention. They're super bright. They can be wired up two ways. You could either run them as standard traditional turn signals, or you can use our Y harness that'll go in there. This is all plug and play. We got a harness that will adapt it to run, turn, and brake. So we'll show you that now. So here you have running lights, and then with your turn signal, and you hit the brakes, and you got all three. So these lights are High-Sider brand lights, and they bolt right onto our shock mount system and use our universal adapters to. This is our slammer seat. This one has the diamond stitch on it. It's also available in a tuck and roll. If you're looking for a bit of a firmer seat, I recommend getting the diamond stitch, as it's a little firmer than the tuck and roll. So this has a multi-density foam, and then it's covered with a gel. It's a little firm in the beginning and requires some break-in time, but once it's broken in, it's going to be nice and comfortable. It looks like leather, but it's marine grade vinyl, which is much better with the water, weatherproof and everything, and much less maintenance than real leather would be. And then just bolts right on, just like stock. And this comes in either black or brown. And this seat here, it just hugs the line of the frame for a nice clean look and low profile. So for the drive kit, we put on a super light chain and sprocket kit. And this black sprocket just looks killer over the dull gray stock sprocket that comes on here, along with the gold chain on the black wheel. Really pops, gives it a nice racy look. The kit comes with a front and rear sprocket, but if you're putting it on a brand new bike with under 5,000 miles, then you probably don't have to change out your front sprocket because it's the same tooth count. You're not changing anything there, so you could just change out the rear and the chain. If you're putting on anything high mileage, or if it's over 5,000 miles, you kind of want to look at it and inspect it and see how worn it is. But definitely if it's a high mileage bike, 20,000 miles or something, you definitely want to change out both. So for the brake rotors, we went with the Galfer wave rotor. The wave design, it actually lets the brakes run cooler, and it looks cooler, so that's another reason why we choose it. And this is of the floating design, which means that you got a carrier right here, and then this piece is just floating on these buttons right here. It's not actually solid mounted. It can actually move a little bit. So it gives a better feel when you hit the brakes. You're not transferring all your energy right into the wheel. It's nice and smooth as it brakes. If you're gonna put these on, we recommend replacing the pads at the same time. You know, if the bike is brand new, then maybe okay, but if they're worn into old rotors, you don't want to run new pads on your brand new rotors. So we recommend always replacing the pads with the rotor at the same time. So on the back, we also want the wave rotor. The back rotor is not of a floating design, mostly because there's just not enough room to put a carrier here and run this rotor as a floater. But really with the back brake, you don't really need a floater because you don't feel it as much in your foot and you're not using it quite as much. All your brake energy is up in the front rotors. So we also have our engine badges on here. We have them for the clutch side and the ACG side. You know, a lot of people put in the comments at times that they could just buy these overseas and get them for a much cheaper price. And to that I say, well, you're getting a much cheaper product when you do that. These are made in America, better quality materials, and you're supporting American jobs, so can't argue with that. So this is the ACG cover. The fins are nice, they match the motor. And it's also, again, a metal piece where the stock one is plastic. So this is a little nicer to have there. Right? So moving on to the handlebars, we put on the CRG lane splitter mirrors, and these are mounted directly to the stock handlebar, no adapter. These are really cool because when you're splitting lanes, or when you want to go into your garage and you need more room, just fold them right in like that, and you pop them back out when you need them. So to finish out the handlebars here, again, we used the stock handlebars, so we didn't have to change out any of the cables or the lines. Since we moved the mirrors out to the clip-on style, we put on our caps here to clean that out so we don't have the mount there. We don't have to screw in the block off. And then we used our direct mount reservoir here and our 4-bolt risers. So with these, they just look cleaner and it gives a nice firm grip there with the 4 bolts. So one of the reasons why we stuck with the stock handlebar in here, because we wanted to see how much we could clean up this whole front end and keep it as less expensive as we could, you know. So without having to change any of these cables or anything, really brings down the price, and it makes it a lot easier to install for someone doing it at home. And honestly, when anybody looks at this bike, they don't even realize that this is the stock bar. Once we put on these risers and move the mirrors out of the way, it just really changed the look of it. So if you're looking for a less expensive way to go, if you're concerned about your skills with changing any of the cables or anything like that, then this might be the option for you. So that wraps it up for this Speed Twin 900. There's going to be a lot more parts that we're going to be fitting to this bike that came from the Street Twin line, especially with the catback exhaust. But the problem is, it's not just a matter of changing some of the brackets and stuff. We got to do a lot of retooling and making jigs and everything to change for the angles of these pipes that weren't on the Street Twin. So they're coming, but for now, we've got these slash cut tips and there'll be more coming, so check the website. Thanks for watching.